We are we are proud to introduce to you the most exciting part of the Browse family, a project that began many, many years ago where we started out with a stock International Scout Traveler and upgraded it to this amazing Super Scout. Story starts back in the 1970s when we were looking for something to replace our dear old Toyota and Volvo station wagons that would be a safe and effective way for us to carry the kids around. And I was looking for something that had economy, reliability, and safety. And I ran into the ad regarding the 1977 Scout Traveler Diesel. And I was so thrilled that I bought one. And so, I ordered the Scout Traveler Diesel through Payline Northwest in December of 1977, and I wanted it loaded with everything. So we got everything that you could put on a Scout Traveler Diesel for $10,587. 6 months later, it was delivered in Seattle at Payline Northwest, and I drove it home. We used it continuously for outing projects. Everywhere we went, we were thrilled and proud to be able to take this vehicle with us. Our children actually grew up with the Scout in the background of many of our outings and adventures. And actually, the children, as they grew up, were forced to drive the Scout to high school because I knew that they would be safe. It was a part of our family in fishing events in Central Oregon. When I went to Coos Bay hunting with my brother, and we had quite a blast using the Scout to sleep in. The extended body allowed us to let all three of the kids sleep while we traveled all night long to our destination. We actually had some great outings at the ocean, driving the Scout on the sand. It was a thrill to be able to take it all over the state. I should have been more careful about the salt water, however, because as you know, Scouts have a notorious record for the bodies rusting. But nonetheless, we didn't know that, and we really enjoyed it. We love the outdoors and all of our hunting experiences. The Scout was the main carrier of people and successful game. I actually caught Jenny using it as a changing room many times. So here we see Julie and Heidi with Jenny getting into their bathing suits one day when we were at the lake. We used it for hauling wood, and it's interesting that in this slide we see our dear friend Lee Feilner and Wes and his a family with our kids, and we loaded my 16-foot utility trailer with wood. Now, what you don't see is the next scene. This hill was high enough, and the weight was heavy enough that even though I had the Scout in gear, it was a 4-speed transmission, and the brakes locked, the weight of the wood pushed the Scout down the hill about 50 feet, and Jenny jumped in and rescued our daughter, who was asleep on the back seat. But the truck handled amazingly with heavy loads. Center of all of our camping activities, and then also in hauling wood. Notice that this trailer is actually loaded down with more wood than the weight of the Scout itself. And being a non-turboed Nissan diesel engine, it was all that this Scout could do to haul this wood with all the family. So it was quite an amazing little machine that we really did overdo it and overtax it in many cases. Dan and I took the Scout hunting with our dear friends in Jackson, Wyoming, Jackson Hole, and it snowed that night so that we had a nice covering of snow. But it's amazing that it started flawlessly, even at zero, because of the just the capability of it. It was a tremendous vehicle. When it was all cleaned up, it was even nice enough to take to church. Here is my brother and sister-in-law and children, and they had their little Datsun, and we had our Scout to take for a weekend. Here's a picture of Dan. We were hunting in the Chesnimnus area, and this tall, lanky fellow was just starting high school, and I think it was probably a couple of years later that he started driving. Actually, he postponed his driving, I think, till he was 17, because I don't think he wanted to get caught dead driving the Scout to school. His older sister Julie had to drive it to high school, and the smoke, when it started up, would clean out the parking lot of any mosquitoes or people with respiratory problems. And so it was kind of known that this Scout was had a problem with smoking when you started it up. I loved it because of the versatility, and I loved it because it was a nice place to take a nap in the off times. Covering the seats with sheepskin seat covers made it an amazing, comfortable ride and a comfortable sleep place. We snacked while we were cutting wood this day, and our faithful little Labrador retriever Rosie was right there with us. Went deer hunting in the Heppner area out on those open flats with friends, and here's my brother. And it was just fantastic to get around in the hills. We used it for skiing, loading all the kids and the skis on putting the skis on the top, and the people on the inside. It was quite a useful vehicle year round. Here's Dr. Gardner and I over at the Deschutes on a hot summer day doing a little fishing. So we hardly ever turned this Scout off when we were able to get out of town. We took it. When we went camping with friends at their motorhome, we would have our tent, and the Scout opened up its huge rear latch top, and we could easily get in and out of it to exchange all of our camping gear and people both. At the ranch in John Day, here we see the Conrad family with us out tooling around in the flat little areas on the ranch. And this is actually the last picture we had of the Scout before it was involved in a couple of accidents that bashed it up pretty bad, and I let it sit in the garage for several years. Then came the memories of all of the safe adventures we had for the entire family. And here is Heidi with Rosie looking so happy and content. Lonnie and I took some great fishing trips with the Scout. But it was time for an uplift with the fiberglass panels and the wear and tear on the drivetrain. It was decided that this was no longer street worthy, so we had to make some changes. So we started taking the machine apart and removing the body, and my son-in-law, Rob Steffen, being a master Chrysler mechanic, said, you know what would be ideal would be to salvage everything from the body that we could from the Scout and look around for a possible donor vehicle where we could replace the drivetrain and engine. And of course, what came to mind when we pulled the diesel engine and we stripped the interior and took everything down to the bare body, we wanted to find a proper donor. And lo and behold, after we got all the pieces off, we decided that a 24 valve Cummins would be just about the ideal situation. So here is a picture of a 1999 Dodge four-wheel drive extended cab and Cummins turbo diesel that after the accident we scrapped out, took all the sheet metal off, and we took it down to the bare frame. So here is the result of the roll over, undamaged Cummins drivetrain that Rob meticulously spared and collected, and the job began. Well, we noticed that there were some fun days. And so you see the original bucket seat as nothing more than a bucket sitting in the place where the cab and drivetrain are going to sit behind this massive Cummins diesel. We discovered that the frame was too long, and being a full-size long bed truck, something would have to be done. So Rob went on the web, found the VIN number of this vehicle, and actually looked up the actual place on the frame and shortened the body frame by 36 inches. This 36-inch reduction in the frame allowed the Scout to fit on top of the frame after the body mounts were re-welded and attached from the old frame. So here's this beautiful, powerful engine that's now going to become part of the Scout. So transporting the body with the little cherry picker on top of the frame was pretty easily performed. I thought it was going to be a major job, but Rob was able to balance this with his expert knowledge, and we were able to spare the makings of it. It was actually a pretty easy project once he got the thing balanced. So putting the pieces together, we ended up with an amazing fit, except one little problem. The nose is too long. The Cummins has 3 radiators, one for the engine coolant, one for the transmission, and the other for the intercooler. And so we had a decision to make. Trying to make that fit would require an extension on the body by 11 inches. And so he replaced it, and we extended the sides of the frame, as well as extending the hood by 11 inches. Hooking up all the electronics was a thing only a master mechanic could do, and Rob was amazing watching him do this, like a surgeon in the middle of an operation. So it starts taking shape, and it begins to get kind of fun. And so we primed it for a new life, but we wanted to put a paint job on it that people would recognize. And so we looked around and parted out the whole drivetrain of the old Scout, by the way. Sold the seats, the console, the instrument panels, and of course the engine. I got $1,000 for the engine just outright, no problem. One day on the Craigslist and it was sold. We put a new steel floor in the back of the Scout, lined it with Rhino bed liner all the way around inside and out, and chose the U.S. Army Urban Camo paint pattern to paint the Scout. And so this is a 4-color camo paint job, and which was amazing because Rob did this out in the broad daylight underneath a pine tree in the summer when the wind was blowing. And how he got it so smooth, I do not know. But after putting the paint on and several coats of clear protective cover, it came out amazingly well. So the improved Scout is a machine that is both functional and reliable. It has 24 valve Cummins, 235 valve horsepower engine, 5-speed manual transmission, a K&E air system, Chrysler Electronics, throughout. Turning radius of 38 feet when we finished. It's phenomenal turning capability. And of course, just the standard Wild Country 285 R16s. We could increase the size of the tires a few inches and it would make it look a little bit better. But notice that the length of the nose on the Traveler body now makes it look more balanced. The Traveler looked like it had a shortened nose because of the long body, and when we extended the nose, now it really looks like the way it should have come right off the assembly line. Rob built the bumpers with 8-inch channel and put 2-inch round tubing for the guard. I hope we never have to test it on a deer or an elk over at the ranch. He also used 2x8 steel tubing bumper all the way around with the D-rings. And the trailer hitch I used to pull my hay wagon, and we've had 5 tons of hay on my 16-foot trailer, and this little baby pulls it without a problem. The Warren 12,000-pound winch is definitely going to be useful, along with the fog lights and the side running lights. But the big one is that 24-valve Cummins turbo engine. I am thrilled to be a Scout owner and lover for life. But we're not finished. We actually are a 2-Scout family. And my other Scout, international, I should say, my other international is a T100 loader diesel cat that is really great for moving stumps and digging ponds. I hope you enjoyed this presentation.